Hello, it's Collette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I'm here this week to share the energy forecast for the 24th of March. Okay, so we're still in the energy of the eclipses and the portal, and it is bringing up much, isn't it now? I feel kind of comically, grief-stricken to share that this up and coming week is also going to be really definitive of the energies that are trying to work for us. Then we must remember they're not against us, they're actually for us. And although it might feel that we're being cosmically stirred and boiled and laid out to dry in, in a crispy sun, that we're literally being supported to elevate, to become a better version of ourselves and also live a life that is more aligned to what we really want and what we really feel. So, bearing that in mind, knowing that we've gone through Venus becoming um, adapted from the evening star to the morning star, there was a distinct shift in energy this weekend. And some of you may have felt that there may have been some revelations. There may have been something that you were mooching over or something that's been underlying in you that just came to the surface and needed to be, you know, confronted or spoken of, and that may have liberated you. If not, then you're still dealing with it. And I'm going to just get to the crux of what's going on here as we move through the Capricorn moon and what's coming up, because there's a lot here. I touched briefly last week on ancestral wounds. They're going to be more defined over this week because what's actually happening as we come into the Capricorn moon is this feeling of stuff that's going on in our life that we have carried through our ancestral lines. So deep traumas, patterns of behavior, certain outlooks at life, belief systems, the way we live. And what's happening to those of us that are walking this spiritual path, those of us that are looking for evolution, we are beginning to understand some of the ancestral wounds that we are carrying and those that we have to overcome. So this week I've worked with people. There has been things like poor relationships, lack of self-care, addictions, uh, being unworthy, living in deprivation, not owning their feminine power. These kind of things are all coming up. And if we can just kind of separate them slightly, because we can't really separate, can we, our ancestry? But if we can just kind of part way a little to feel that in our bones and in our DNA, we hold the epigenetics of our previous lineage. So, my own ancestry is Irish and Scottish, and the Irish has impacted me in many ways to do with like being through a famine and other things happened to my female ancestors being sold in America as indentured slaves, and then the clans in Scotland being overridden and slaughtered. And a lot of things from that have affected me. And it will be showing up in your life right now. What kind of demons? I don't really like to use that word, but I am going to. What demons, what kind of patterns have controlled you that are negative, that belong to your ancestry? It's really worth feeling that, because this is asking you to heal them. It's saying this isn't right. And someone in your line has got to heal it. Now, we can go through life carrying it and continuing it, and it will be detrimental to us. We might not get the things we want. That could be in relationships, could be in your working life, it could be anything. So, what is it that you see has been a common pattern through your ancestry that you're holding and trying to overcome right now? It's really worth this week feeling into and trying to uncover and, setting yourself some healing goals for it. What we will see is Venus enters Pisces, re-enters because she's in retrograde, is us looking at these values. So these are entwined, I think, with the ancestral wounds. And these values are to do with our relational traumas. What values do we hold ourselves to? Do we allow bad behavior? Do we allow ourselves to accept breadcrumbs? Do we allow ourselves to be manipulated or manipulative in relationships? Are we attached to our partner or being in relationship? What's your relationship type? It's important to know if you're secure, if you're anxious, if you're, avoidant, and how does that play out? Why is there avoidance? Why is there attachment? This will then go back to childhood wounds that were shaped through and I said it to someone the other day, we cannot get away from we were all brought up from traumatized parents. The generation of our parents before us has gone through so much. There's been so little healing, too little access to therapy or doing the work to heal. And so these patterns have been set in you from a young child epigenetically through nature, but also through nurture. So you will see that you've developed ways of relating that are from these deep ancestral wounds. They could be themes like fear, being in a relationship because you fear to leave, you don't want to be on your own. It could be settling for less, accepting breadcrumbs and scraps and behaviors from men that or women that are not what you want, what you desire. And I think what the key thing here with Venus going back into Pisces is the emotional. It's to really ask yourself, what do you need and what you want, and are you being met? And it's not about projecting or blaming the other that we're dealing with, because that isn't healthy or useful at all, but rather saying, is this person aligning with what I want? Is this person emotionally available? Is this person present? I think these are basic relationship needs. And many of us, especially women, have forsaken these. Like we've just gone, oh, like I'm happy to just give what time he's got, or I don't mind the inconsistency. It's okay. And no, it's not. It's time to level up. It's time to really see that we can heal this deep chasm in relating. We can heal the feminine by having very, very clear boundaries about what we allow and an understanding of what you need to be met and fulfilled. We're going to see with this energy as well, because we're in Pisces and it's related to emotions, that we're really feeling stuff. We're super sensitive to what's going on. We might be triggered a little bit easier. Those of us that are doing the work, we're trying to negate and go through those emotions and realize them and feel them and release them. But we might be dealing with people who have no understanding of emotional regulation, nor do they know about, the fact that emotions are really important to get in touch with. And if you're in dealing with someone like that, it's not healthy for you, because all you'll ever do is spend time to try to get the other to do the work, to feel, make understandings about how they're not emotionally available. Or indeed begin to, because we've got like some action here we've got something called a T square with Chiron is about being the wounded healer, like trying to heal people, trying to see potential rather than accepting what is right in front of you and saying, if I accept this person as they are, and that can be a friend, a mother, a father, a lover, is this good for me? Does it work? Does it help me heal? Does it further elevate, allow my soul evolution, or is it detrimental to me? Am I dealing with old patterns that I've dealt with before? And like I said, it's not about them. It's about you not even leveling up, but accessing your highest potential, your highest relationship, whether that's a lover, a friend, or whoever. So you really have to be brutally honest with you. I have a very, very strong healer archetype. And yeah, I admit, I mean, it serves me really well in my work to see the highest potential, because I hold people accountable to that, but they're there to do evolutionary work with me. But if you're holding that highest potential in your external relationships, then you're always going to fall short and you're always going to be in cycles of chaos. You're always going to feel emotionally drained and like you're not being met and that you're not loved enough and all of those things. So stay away from that kind of dynamic and know that it's a dynamic that you've held, maybe even ancestrally or just maybe in this life that needs to be changed. And that if you value yourself enough, a higher dynamic will come in. But you have to say no. You have to go through saying, no, this is not good for me. If that person's ready to level up, they'll come forward and say, yeah, I need to change these things because it's not good. And I have failed in relationships before because of this. But if we're dealing with non-self-reflective people, non-emotional people, I would just give you a nod because this is all coming up in the energy to let go and to move on. It's not because we're judging that person or projecting or criticizing. That would not be very, high evolution either. But it's because we just care for ourselves and we realize that that energy's come in because this part of us needed healing. So the part of you that needs healing, when it's healed and it's said no to this, it will really begin to attract a different energy. And that's what we really have to put our faith in, is that when we begin to change, then what we attract in changes too. So this is about the past, acknowledging that it's living within us now. Our past relationship lived in us. What needed changing? Where did we need to evolve? And how do we change our lives to do this? How do we change our behaviors? Where do we say no to? What do we say yes to? And like I said, this T square from Chiron in Aries is bringing in all the alchemical healing that we need to do this if you're prepared to look at it and go there. I think there's just this huge interplay of because we've got the solar eclipse on Friday on the 29th, that there's just this huge interplay with femininity and masculinity. And again, if you look back at my podcasts before the energy forecast, you'll see that I talked about this, about the feminine and masculine. And that's really showing up inside of us. How is the feminine and masculine showing itself inside of us? We're not a one-trick pony. We have these two energies inside of us. Which one are we mostly sat in? Many men like to believe they're mostly sat in masculine, and it's not correct. They are mostly projecting the unhealed aspect of their feminine on women, and that's what they're trying to reclaim. And we as women are normally reflecting our animus, our masculine energy on the men that we are around, and that gives us signposts for healing. So if you've been caught up in any relational thing that has not been great, look at that masculine and ask what aspects of the masculine that you dislike are living in you still that need to be healed. So, for example, if you're caught up in a relationship that's you're getting breadcrumbs, you're getting very little, you've got to look at the part of yourself that is okay with the little. Like, at what instant does somebody breadcrumbing you become a bigger thing? Well, because you allow it. So there's something in you that needs healed. So every relationship is reciprocal in what it's trying to heal in the other. So this is the deeper work. It really is the deeper work. This is what I call the Magnus Opus. And this is so funny today because I actually opened my container today for womb alchemy. And it's what I'm going to be doing with this container of women, is looking at the alchemical stages of healing. There is a map for that. There is a way to do this that's been mapped out by the mystics and the astrologists and the philosophers. It's all there. And it does involve that very first stage of Nigredo where it all is very, very dark. It's blackening, where we have to look at the darker stuff about ourselves, the wounds, the scars, so that we can actually putrefy them down and change them. And when we do this with the feminine and masculine, which is showing itself externally to us, and we take that as an internal alchemical healing, especially for women through the womb, because for women, it's not through the mind. And I share this a lot, that the intellectual route that there's always been for men which is very penile, which is very mind orientated, is not the same for women. Women are very emotional, very deep inside themselves, and have a huge portal in their womb that allows for transformation, enlightenment, individuation, whatever we want to call it. And that's exactly why today I open the womb alchemy container. And if you're feeling that pull, there is availability to join me. So please reach out. I think it's a pivotal time to do work like this. And I know that the women that are in this container are wanting this unification inside of the feminine and masculine energies, the all known Gnostical term of the hieros gamos, the divine marriage within that will in turn bring the divine marriage outside too. And who doesn't want that? So yeah, this is pivotal energy. And I just really urge you to work with it and do the work. Write some of these things down that I've shared. Write down your patterns of relating. Write down what's annoyed you about the other and what that's showing you about you and how you need to heal that aspect. And you will start to make some really deep movements through your own spiritual elevation. But what I want to do is just gift you all on this Monday with just a little free transmission. I think it would be honoring of me to bring in the ancestors at this point that are all rooting for us on the other side. So if you wish to join in this, I ask you to just take a deep breath and come into sacred space. And do that by breathing in and breathing out. And just allowing yourself to feel the sway of the breath connecting you with divine, with divinity, with creator, with God, with the name which you choose to call that is greater than you, guiding you. And then from this space, just breathe more deeply, feeling if you're a woman connected to the womb space or to the hara if you're male. And as you breathe in and out here, just feeling that call to the higher aspect of the self. And in the call of the higher aspect of the self, just feeling the divine white light here with you, meeting you as you call it in. And that divine white light coming in through the breath and tracing through your entire body, creating purity, cleansing, extracting anything that isn't serving you, and then allowing it to form a circle of energy all around you, healing energy, protective energy. As that circle forms, just feel encapsulated in this protective sphere, in this divine field of energy with you and Creator. And from this space where you're safe, all beings respect the divine protection and do not come any closer than the walls of the sphere. You just for a moment call in the ancestors of your feminine and masculine lineages and allow them to slowly gather outside of the sphere of energy, left and right, left the female, right the masculine. And as those lines become infinite, queue of women and men that belong to your ancestry, to your lineage, whose stories gather in your blood and bones. You take a deep bow from the protection of your sphere and you honor them. You thank them all for their journeys, their stories, their wounds, their pains, their traumas, their joys, their successes, and their happiness. And they see you as them, their stories interwoven, meeting in yours. And you place your hand on your womb, left hand on the womb. Sorry, right hand on the womb, left hand on your heart. And you ask them to divinely guide you into healing the aspect that is coming up now for you to change, for you to overcome, for you to embody. And you feel the ancestors rooting for you, the things they were unable to overcome. Continually spiraling, coming back in the loop of life to be healed by someone. And you may ask in this moment, what is yours now here to heal? What is this one piece that's coming up right now? What is there to overcome? And just take a moment waiting for the answer. And then when you have received the answer, thank the ancestors, take a bow, share your love for them all. And then begin to see the ancestral lines fade, waving to the women on the left and the men on the right. Feeling the sphere of energy holding you safe. And then breathing yourself back to the here and the now. And as you return into the here and the now, as you step into this space now, I wish you healing, love, peace, and most of all, spiritual evolution. Bye for now, Collette.